Thank you so much for taking time out of your day to join us today. And we're going to be having a fireside chat on how to build a profitable startup in the GCC. And with my panelists, we're going to be discussing what it's really like to work towards having sustainable growth as a startup. What are the lessons, the challenges, and the opportunities? And so I urge you to pay close attention to all the wisdom that they'll be sharing with us today, because at the end, there will be an opportunity for you to ask any questions that you might have. Thank you. And now we are going to start with a rapid fire question session, just to test the water a little bit. Ayşe, Marcus, Senthuran. Okay, hello? Hello? You know, guys, we're about to have a great conversation, but there are many conversations happening. Thank you. So, we're going to hear from Ayşe, Marcus, and Senthuran what they think is the most important thing for a startup. And so my question to the three of you is, profitability is the most important thing for a startup. Let me know how you feel about that in one sentence. So you either answer yes, because, or no, because. We'll start with you, Ayşe. What do you think?
Is it working? Okay. So thank you, Fatima, as first. Of course, yes, and we have to become profitable to operate our companies. So because we are doing this business, of course, and not for flying in the dreams, of course, we have to stand on the floor. So that's why I think that we have to become profitable, yes.
Okay, thank you for sharing. Ayşe thinks profitability is the most important thing for a startup. Marcus, what do you think?
Hello. First of all, thank you very much, Fatima. It's amazing to be here. Thank you, Tribe Tech, Builders Tribe. In one sentence, I will say no, profitability isn't the most important for a startup because I believe cash flow allows the startup to grow. So being in a state of profit at the start is not what you should be looking for. And that's what I think.
Ooh. Ayşe said yes. Marcus said no. Senthuran, you're the tiebreaker. What do you think?
Hello. I have a slightly different opinion. Profit is important, but at the same time, market fit is more important because without market fitness, you cannot scale your business. So for you to become profitable, first you have to make sure you're fitting the market.
Okay. I don't know if I should accept that answer. What do you think? Okay. Profitability, cash flow, market fit. That's what they think are the most important things for a startup. Let's dig deeper into that. And this question goes to you, Ayşe and Senthuran. What has the journey towards profitability looked like for you? And what decisions, perhaps around operation, product design, or other business strategy have been key? We'll start with you, Senthuran.
We design our product based on scientific and evidence base, not rather just calories. When we launched our product, our competition was focusing mainly on convenience. We were selling transformation, and therefore we were able to price our product based on outcomes and real results. The fact that we were able to go on that base, we were able to bring credibility to our clients. We were able to reduce our churn rate, and eventually we were able to build a profitable model on the long run.
Okay, thank you for sharing that. And I think that's an important perspective. Because oftentimes when people think about being profitable, perhaps increasing revenue, they think about acquiring more customers, which by itself is a task. But what you're saying is that when you have credibility as a business and you provide a valuable service that speaks for themselves, then you're able to maximize the clients that you already have without necessarily needing to go outside to acquire new.
Having more clients doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to have more profits. Sometimes having more clients is a costly business. The profits actually come from efficiency, how build your efficiency in your businesses. So in my perspective, I don't really go after the customer count. I always go beyond for the efficiencies in the business, bringing lean operations, achieving that profitability per unit, economics. That's most important factors in my business.
Okay, well, thank you so much for sharing that, and I think that is an important perspective. Given that oftentimes the focus is the other way around. How can we give as many discounts, as much promotions, so we can get more new people on board? Ayşe, we're going to come to you now. What do you think? What has been key towards profitability for your business?
Thank you, Fatima. I think that it starts before establishing your business model and establishing your company, and also knowing your industry, which industry that you are serving. You have to well analyze and everything in your industry, and you have to know your clients' needs at the first step. And to become that profitable way, that what we have done in Shipsider, and meantime we know our industry, we're more than 17 years. I'm a ship's captain, sailed through Mesai port a lot. I have carried cargo to Mesai port on commanding a commercial ship, merchant navy. And we know our customer structure in GCC, for example. And we know how to approach them, and we know and how their needs as the maritime companies, what they need in the optimization side. And before that, before establishing our first, our startup, and we have onboarded our platform more than 5 customers and completed the POCs, and even, issuing the first invoice. I think that it starts with that structure and knowing and understand and to your customers.
Okay, so a solid foundation before even you begin the business is essential to then having a successful business that could eventually become profitable. When we had a conversation earlier, you had mentioned that Shipsider operates in Turkey and in Qatar, and you were able to reach profitability in a year in both markets, which is remarkable. You might need to take me as a student. But what would you say was the biggest contributing factor, being able to do it not just once, but doing it twice, being profitable in a year?
Yes. If there are any VCs around here, I will just ask. I'm sorry about the VCs and if they are listening to me, but what we have done, and we are a bootstrapping startup, and in the first year that in our establishment, after establishing our company, meantime it depends on a work more than 2 years. But what we have done, we are bootstrapping, we are financing ourselves with our customers, because best investor is the customer. And what I have learned and through this way. And we are not seeking for money for only paying us a co-founder's salary, for example. I think that it is not making you profitable in a very short way, and if you have to allocate a budget and before establishing your company, and in only $10,000, and we put our budget and per each person. That's why I see that, and if you work and save some money in a professional job, and you can invest in your own business, because why it is needed, and in the investor side also as well, and when they see that you are investing in your own company at least $10,000, and they are seeing a sparkling point over there afterwards. So that's why, and all the co-founders, we have been past sometimes that we only spend our month with only $1 $1,000 per co-founder, so per month. We have passed those times and to become profitable. But right now, and we are well adjusted, we have minimized all our costs, and all the co-founders and they are doing everything. And also we are in daily operations business, and we are using directly in all aspects of the AI technology and to optimize our operations as well.
Okay, thank you for sharing. Hello. Thank you for sharing. Many things come out from what you said. You mentioned running a streamlined operation. You mentioned AI, introducing technology. You mentioned minimizing costs. These are incredibly important. And I'm going to go back to you, Senthuran, on those points, because I believe you had some specific examples about how these efforts to streamline the operations, to integrate technology, to be disciplined with your figures and your budgeting. You have specific examples of how those as well have been instrumental to reaching profitability in your business. So could you share those examples and examples?
First of all, we send orders of kitchen on a daily basis for our clients. The first thing that we have done is we have identified a cutting sheet. That means we know exactly how much quantities to be produced in a very smart way. This helps the chefs to exactly use the ingredients that is needed for that day of production. This saves cost for us. We have achieved tremendous cost saving in terms of production. Secondly, we have used a smart delivery app which helps us to route our deliveries. Also minimize the usage of drivers and trucks. It also saves time and fuel cost. So those are technologies that we have adapted in the early stage which help us to drastically bring down the operation cost.
Thank you. And that also, I guess, makes your offerings then really competitive because you're able to optimize these processes to make sure that the unit cost makes sense.
Certainly.
Excellent. Thank you. Marcus, why are you looking at me like that? We're coming to you. You're going to answer the question now. We're saving. Okay. And I was waiting to ask you this question slightly differently, Marcus, because you have a different perspective. Guys, if you remember at the beginning, she said profit was important. Senthuran kind of danced around the question. He said profit is important, but there's other things that are important too. Marcus said no. And so, Marcus, I believe you have a different philosophy as to where profitability stands in importance to a startup. And I want you to share a bit more about that, the relationship between profitability and cash flow and investing as a startup, especially given that there's different capital realities.
For sure, yeah. So I don't necessarily believe that profitability as a startup is critical. And I want to make a distinction, first of all, between profitability and revenue. I believe revenue is crucial to the survival of a startup. I don't believe profitability essentially is. And the reason I say that is what I said before, is cash flow. I believe cash flow is king as a startup. With cash flow, you need to be able to reinvest, especially as a bootstrapped startup that we are, you need to reinvest all the money that you're generating as a startup back into the company to grow. That is the number one priority for you. When we're talking about growing quickly as a startup, because you don't have time, you don't necessarily have any venture capital angel investors, it's just you, your team, your ideas. So each real, each dollar, each pound has to go straight back into the company to grow it. So that's why I believe having a high cash flow, it allows you to do more things with the company. You can invest that money into your technology, into your team, into your expansion as a startup. So for me, I told my co-founder actually, if we reach, right now we are two and a half, 3 years in, if we reach profitability at this point, we're doing a very, very bad job. I want to be in the red at least for the next 6, 7 years, because then I know all the money we're making is towards the growth of the company. But we look at examples such as Uber, Amazon, Airbnb, they're all in the red. Why? Because they're reinvesting money back to grow the operations of the startup. And I believe that's the most crucial thing at the beginning. So that's sort of my philosophy on profitability.
Excellent. Thank you so much for sharing. And Senthuran, I'd like to know a bit about what your take on this is, on the role of cash flow and the necessity of reinvesting whatever comes out of the business back into the business. Because I understand you've been operating in the region for a long time. So when exactly do you draw the line? And how do you know it's time to sort of reap the rewards of the business? And how do you know that it's necessary to keep pouring back into it?
As Martha said, profit is theoretical. Cash is always, it's like oxygen for businesses. When we started our operations, we kept our operations very lean the first 3 years. We did not even sell assets, we from partnerships.
I don't have it.
And most important thing is we always made sure that we had six months runaway cash flow, so that our operations will not stall or anything like that. My advice for young entrepreneurs is, don't let the passion lie in the numbers. That's very important. Passion could be something in private business or
That is not advice that we have to sit
to
in
take control of your cost numbers,
Everybody's
very close eye on the numbers. That will give you sustainability.
Something that you said really stood out to me. Passion drives your business, but you need the discipline to take control of your accounts. I think I'm going to write that on my LinkedIn post. So thanks for dropping that. I think it's as a way to encapsulate that. Speaking about cash flow, speaking about capital, I want to come to you, Ayşe. Because we do know that in every market, but also here, startups often face capital constraints, and there's always as well the persistent challenges of delayed invoice payments. And so in the context of your business, as you run it here in the region, how have you managed cash flow and other financial pressures to keep your business healthy? And I ask this as well because there are capital constraints in the market, that's true. But especially as a female founder, there's an additional layer of challenge that comes to securing those funds. And so how have you navigated that across the different, fronts?
Thank you, Fatima. I will reply as first. Find yourself a male co-founder and as a male co-founder. These are my co-founders, and they are the technical guys, and they are totally software developers. And also they know Arabic because they are Arabs. And I think that we have solved this case and by approaching in that way. But of course, as a female founder is perspective. I'm someone and commanded a ship, so I think that it's not any problem for me because I always work with men and ever in my life. So I think that it's totally okay for me. I can manage that. And if I'm saying that if I can survive in the middle of the ocean, in a storm, I can handle that. But in terms of especially the payments and the payment periods and on GCC, yes, you have to well prepare yourself and expert these foundations. Our main advantage over this, it is totally the same in Turkey as well. The payment terms is always, it has a big duration, like at least 6 months, for example, and when you issue your third-party invoice, it takes another 6 months and to collect your money back. And you have to make your budget in a very operational way. In what we are doing, in every 3 months, and sometimes in the GCC, and we are making it every 2 months, we are reallocating and all our budget, we are using everything, and then after 15, if we will be completing this agreement and with that customer, and how much we can survive ourselves as our end. But I think that the problem here is not about all the GCC. Right now we are doing the B2B business, B2B SaaS business. I think right now in startup growth, I see that everybody is struggling about this problem, even it's not operating in GCC. So in our economical conjuncture right now, I think that it's better to find a way to save your company, to save your money, and making your budget again and again in every kind of step.
Okay, so we're going back to then what we said at the beginning. Keep your operations lean, be smart with your numbers, and be agile with your strategies, right? You're always looking at your books. I feel like I'm learning from all of you and using your lingo. Learning from your book, from your numbers, and making sure that you're making these decisions periodically, so you know you don't wake up one day and you're out of money. Thank you. And I don't know if you find this controversial, but you can let us know at the end. She says to find a male co-founder if you're a female founder. So let us know what you think about that when it's time for the Q&A. Marcus, I'd like to go to you in terms of cash flow, because you operate in the tourism sector. And it's a sector that is vulnerable to seasonal changes. And so how have you maintained a healthy cash flow in the context of what you do?
Yeah, so with BaytTravel, what we do is we're a luxury holiday home rental company. And so a lot of the bookings essentially that we get sort of has a high season and a low season and fluctuates throughout the year. So one thing we knew very early on is that we can't just depend on one revenue stream within the company. We can't just say to ourselves, okay, the only way we're going to generate income is through bookings and bookings alone. So we started opening up the doors to other revenue streams. So for example, and this is what I would say is very important within any company, look for other ways to monetize your business. You can still have the core service or product that you're selling, but around that you can also monetize using different ideas that you could have. So for us personally, one of the things that we started to do is we're looking at our customers and our consumers. What do they need? What do they want concerning my company? So for example, homeowners, I know that they need cleaning services for every single booking. Regardless if it's one day, 1 week, or whatever, they require cleaning services. So what did we do? We partnered with the local cleaning company. Whenever they need cleaning, our homeowners come directly to us. Another thing they need, for example, is photography and videography services. So what did we do? We subcontracted videographers here locally, and so all of the media that our homeowners need, they come directly through us. And that's on top of being a booking platform. And what that did, it allowed us in times where our main sort of revenue stream, our bookings were low, they were sort of covered by the additional streams of revenue within the company. And that's always a safe thing to do. And in doing that, we managed to hit, within a year, 6-figure monthly recurring revenue. It allowed us to sort of, in times of sort of in need, essentially, where we're like, okay, we know we're going to take a hit in the low season, but we can sort of subsidize that by the other revenue streams within the company. So I believe it's most important to have multiple revenue streams to save yourself.
I think that's fantastic, the idea of diversifying your revenue streams. If you have just one tap in your house, that's a problem. You need more taps. And that idea of diversifying revenue streams was also finding more ways to serve the customers that you already have. When we had a conversation, Senthuran, there was an idea about that. You have a philosophy about providing an end-to-end wellness service for the customers who work with you across your businesses. Can you talk a bit about that and how that ties then into this idea that Marcus has shared with us?
I share the same view as Marcus. We realized the market is small from the early days. We tried to horizontally integrate our businesses from food to wellness to medical services under one umbrella. That's how we formed Diet Delights, Wellness Lab, and Sugar Sense. By doing so, we were able to retain our clients for a longer journey, health journey, and this increased the lifetime value of our clients. So that gives a lot of sustainability for us. For me, sustainability is all about depth, not about the width. That's all I have to say about that.
That's great. Thank you so much for sharing that. And so by having these multiple offerings that your customers can leverage, then they end up utilizing the services that you offer for a longer period of time.
Yeah, that's correct.
And it's not just one thing, it's not one tap in the house.
Exactly. So they they stay with us for a longer period.
Okay, thank you. And while we're still with you, Senthuran, it's no secret that Qatar is a small market, as is the GCC relatively, but let's speak about Qatar. And how would you say that founders can sustain profitability without exhausting their customer base or opportunities?
So in Qatar, you cannot play volume games. You have to play the value game. What do I mean by that is you have to tackle each client on a profitable level, or every program that we launch has to be profitable, or every partnership that we bring to the company has to have some sort of financial sense. By giving real results to our clients, you build credibility, and over a period of time, you build that small wins will automatically compound into a good profitable model. That's how we build our businesses from start.
Okay, thank you so much for sharing. And Marcus, I want to come to you on this point, because I understand that BaytTravel is looking to expand its operations and potentially launch in a different market. Can you share a bit of the reason for that and where you are with that process at the moment?
Yes, so definitely, I believe Qatar has the best framework to test a product or service. I believe, and we'll also talk about product market fit that my colleague mentioned. It's an amazing way to know if you're really onto something. You can try it, you can fail, you can test it. But I do believe the step further is looking past the borders. So looking at bigger markets such as Saudi or the UAE is what we're doing in ourselves. We know that tourism, it favors the UAE throughout the year, and especially working in the holiday home rentals field, we rely on incoming tourists. So that's why we're now opening in the UAE in the next few weeks, and then we're going to take advantage of the influx of tourists as well. But just talking about Qatar, I do really believe that there is no better place in the GCC to begin, because it really does give you the opportunity to grow something of value, which then you can use to expand regionally. It has the right framework. You can also start making a great network of individuals, and then using that, you can keep growing regionally.
Great, thank you so much. You can maximize local values and to round up after that. Does anybody have a question to share with us? Yes, the distinguished gentleman in the front.
Sorry, what's your name?
Senthuran. Sen. Just Sen. Call me Sen.
Sen, you said that market, don't focus on customer convenience. You go for other conveniences like quality and stuff. So what are you exactly producing that does not benefit the customers, since you're not looking at them?
So when I say convenience is not really convenience. What I meant is you have to give a solution that can solve people's problem. So don't try to do a product that, for the sake of, bringing that trend or, something that is flashy in the short term, because that's not going to last in this kind of market, Try to bring a solution that can really solve a problem, that can really, address the pain point of a client. That's what I really meant by that.
Okay, I was just informed by Secret Service that we can take one more question. So
you said about we should have multiple revenue streams rather than relying on one product or one idea. I'm now a solopreneur who is doing all my business on my own, and it's like freelancing as underdog. How it would be good if
Yeah, sure, definitely. I mean, when we began with BaytTravel, I guess you could say we were solopreneurs in that sense. Your customers will tell you what the demand is, essentially. And based off that, you will create services around their problems. So you don't necessarily have to come out and say, okay, well, I'm going to start selling 1, 2, 3, 4. No, it's you start with one thing, and your customers, with their frustrations, with their issues, they will tell you, okay, you know what, I really need, for example, in our case, you know what, I really wish there was a company that had cleaning services around here, or I really wish that there was a company that could do media production. So we're like, okay, us as BaytTravel, let's find a way we can solve the other problems the customer has. Because as a solopreneur, you're providing one service right now, but I guarantee you your customer base has other problems they face around your idea. So what you will do effectively is you will speak to them, you'll see what their issues are, and then you will create the solution with your company, with your idea, to solve that problem as well.
Thank you so much, Marcus. And with that, we asked so many questions, which is why it's fantastic that we are at Techfest, because it's about continuing these conversations. And so please, if you see Ayşe after the panel, you see Marcus, you see Senthuran, feel free to ask them your questions and to engage. Thank you so much for your attention, and it's been fantastic sharing this conversation with you.